Fishful Thinker Television, brought to you by Sportsman's Warehouse, America's premier outfitter. Coldwell Banker, every day until it's sold. St. Croix Rod, the best rods on earth. Evinrude, spend more time on the water. Good morning. Welcome to Fishful Thinker. I'm Chad LaChance. We appreciate you joining us today. Joining us in the boat, Dr. Chris Myrick right here. He's a fisheries professor from CSU. It's my alma mater. We appreciate you joining us here in the boat. Now, besides being a fisheries biologist, Chris is a big bait specialist. And as you can see right here, we've got some monstrous trout baits tied on because we're chasing lake trout, giant mackinaws. We're on Lake Granby here in Colorado. This is the mouth of the Colorado River right here draining the lake right behind us. This is going to be a good time. Those lakers get real shallow, eating trout.
Eating trout, eating rainbows.
If they're eating rainbows, we can catch them with these. So it's going to be a fun show. We're going to get after them with some big baits. We're also got some smaller baits just in case, but we're going to get after these trout eaters right now. So get comfortable. This is going to get interesting.
Yes, it is.
All right.
Yes, it is.
One of the things we're looking for as we go to eliminate water and we're trying to find these shallow lakers is to fish windblown areas, rocky points, inside, outside bends, the same as you would any other species. Look for some areas that will hold fish, stopping points along a bank, something like that. So Dr. Myrick here is lobbing his 12-inch trout or 10-inch trout, and for us to be a little bit more conservative until we find out what they're biting, I'm throwing a little bit more conservative bait. But either way, wind-blown rocky points are a good place to look for shallow lake trout. On a real steep bluff bank, we're still in the Colorado River arm, and it's a very steep bank. And what we've been doing, as with every other episode on Fishful Thinker, the good doctor here and I are trying to work out a pattern. And it's first fish is always the hardest to catch. And we've been fishing for about 2 hours now, and we have not caught a fish yet. But we've mixed it up between gravel flats and points, steep points. This point's very steep right here. And we're just kind of wind drifting around it. Boat's in 50 feet of water this close to the bank to give you some idea how steep this is. And I'm working a tube jig down it.
I've got a 6-inch Huddleston swim bait, so sort of on the small size range for a swim bait. But swims nose down, pretty good for swimming down a steep bluff bank like this.
Sure, makes sense. We've pulled out off of the shallow banks, and now we're out on the main part of the lake here at Granby. And we're fishing approximately 50 feet, 45 to 50 feet deep on a hump. So now that it's mid-morning, we're gonna get out here and fish a little bit deeper and see what we can produce now. Now, we moved out off the bank, we got on the shallow hump.
Oh no.
Sneak back down here.
Oh, he came off. He came off. He came off.
No.
He came off. He came off.
No. No. Oh, the finality of it all.
So
show them what you're throwing. Show them what you're hooked with. Let me get that for you.
So I'm dropping a ROF 12 Huddleston swim bait. This lure will sink at about 12 feet every 10 seconds. Just barely lifting it up and down off the bottom, and it just got monstered. But
no love.
No love. Sometimes life's like that.
But the key thing is this, is we moved off the banks because we got the bright sun, as you can see, and it got calm. It's actually pretty calm out here for Lake Granby. So now we're out jigging on deep humps, and we'll continue to do that. We've only been doing it for 15 or 20 minutes. We've had a couple of fish bite, just haven't kept them pinned. So just after we get them done, huh?
Yes, sir.
All right. I've got the GPS on both front and rear, split screen between the sonar and the GPS. And what the GPS is letting me know where I am in relation to our hump. And the sonar is telling me if fish are adjacent to us. So when we mark fish, we'll hit a quick waypoint and go back to that waypoint and try to stay on top of them and keep these jigs here. Oh, the swim bait strikes again. Here he goes. Okay, now let's hope that this one will stay pinned. Oh no, hey. Not too good, not too good. My netting skills on this show have, oh, that's a big one too, isn't it?
He does not want to come see us.
Now, Dr. Myrick.
Yes, sir.
Is this the deepest swim bait fish you've ever caught?
Well,
or hooked?
Definitely the deepest I've ever hooked.
Oh, that's a giant. Look at this thing, guys. Oh man, it's huge. On a 12-inch swim bait. Oh my God, are you kidding me? Good God, yeah, that's a monster. Oh, where's my pliers? Let me get him unhooked real quick here. We want to get him back quick, but first let's get this thing out of his face. Look, there's your bait, baby, right there. Holy smokes, get him up there. Okay, let's get him carefully out of the net and get him released. That is a monster. What a fish, Dr. Myrick. Oh, man.
Oh, yeah.
He don't come out of the net. You got him? Chris Myrick, is that the biggest lake trout you've ever caught?
Biggest lake trout I've ever caught.
Oh, what a fish. Now, folks, that's like a 40-year-old fish, so we're not going to keep him out very long. But I cannot believe. Now, folks, sometimes you got to get a still picture for your buddy Chris. Now, can you tell that as the host I'm excited? Hang on, buddy, ready? Nice, okay.
Beautiful.
Folks,
we're gonna get
that's
this guy
a monster.
back.
We need to go ahead and put him back because he's old. Hold his tail if you would. Wow, what a fish. There he goes. Wow, holy smokes. That's why you experiment. Hold up that bait. Grab your bait, would you? Now, guys, I'm not kidding you.
This is a 8-inch rainbow trout imitation.
Hold it up.
And what we figure is happening is these lake trout relate to some of these deep points, and they're just waiting for bait fish to come over the top. In this case, bait fish are those same rainbow trout that a lot of people like to try to catch. So when one of those bait fish comes over the top of the hump, the lake trout can rocket up, nail it, and go right back down. That's just what happened.
Oh man, I'm telling you what, that's the first fish we've caught today. We've hooked several others and they've come off. That thing just bent this 8-foot-long swim bait rod over in a big way. That fish had to be 15 or 18 pounds, 20 pounds, I don't know.
Yeah, it felt maybe 15 or so.
Holy smokes, what a hog. That's the biggest lake trout. I gotta shake your hand. Thank you very much for coming along. The reason, big part of the reason, besides being friends, big part of the reason we brought the fish doctor with us is because of the fact that swim baits are his deal. He is addicted, let's just say.
Addicted is a good word.
He's got a swim bait problem. It doesn't matter if they're walleyes, bass, trout, whatever. He likes to catch them on swim baits. We figured being early in the spring, coming up here, the lake's only been iced out for a week and a half, that geez, if you're ever gonna catch them on swim baits, this is the time. We really wanted to beat the banks. That didn't pan out because it got real calm. We came out here to some deep humps, started getting on the grass, more traditional lake trout fishing with less traditional baits, and Holmes just got a hog. Dr. Myrick, that was a beautiful catch. Wow, what a fish. I want to try that. You don't have one of those I could borrow, do you?
I do, actually.
I was playing a conservative, Dr. Myrick here, swinging for the bleachers with the big swim bait. Well, guess what? He's actually been bit more than I have with the conservative tube jigs and the more traditional lake trout baits. And we were warned by the world famous Bernie Keefe that these lake trout have been relatively aggressive, and that's probably because it's right at ice out. And so between being warned by Bernie that they're aggressive and then seeing Dr. Myrick's swim bait get choked by a monster just a minute ago, I have picked up the swim bait rod as well, and so I'm also working the swim bait over this deep hump, and we'll see what happens. What do you find some of the keys? You're a swim bait guru. You throw swim baits a lot for folks that don't know. What are some of the keys to getting bites? All kinds of bites, not just Lakers, obviously, but walleyes and bass and all that with the swim baits.
I think one of the keys is to realize that your bigger than average fish are going to go after bigger than average baits. So in this case, we're throwing 6 to 8 inch swim baits. I'll throw anything up to a 12-inch bait for bass, for walleye.
Here on Fishful Thinker, we always preach balanced tackle. So I've got a 7'9" heavy action St. Croix swim bait rod. I've got a Abu Garcia Revo Toro reel. It's a high capacity, high strength bait casting reel, and I have 65-pound Fireline braid on mine. 30-pound leader. You have a 30-pound fluorocarbon leader as well?
Yeah, 30-pound fluorocarbon leader, 65-pound braid, and also a big heavy-duty casting reel.
So the heavy tackle, like you say, is not something. It's more akin to musky tackle than most other tackle, but more than the fish. I always say this: it's not so much the fish; it's the bait you're throwing. Your rod and reel and line need to match your bait. And if you're going to throw 4-ounce baits, you got to have a big rod. But how much attention do you pay as a swim bait? Let's call you an expert, a guru, a junkie. How's that?
A junkie. A junkie is a good word. Not yet an expert.
What are some of the presentation details that you look at to trigger bites?
Well, one of the key things is you want your swim bait to look like a bait fish that is running into trouble. The other thing is, what would you do if you were a little rainbow trout and you look behind you and there are 30 inches of lake trout behind you?
Yeah.
Would you slow down?
That's right.
Or would you try to speed up, make an erratic change? And it's often right when you make that erratic change that you get popped.
Absolutely. Now, in that regard, swim baits aren't fundamentally different than a lot of baits. One of the last things you want to do when you get fish following is stop a bait. Usually, if you stop a bait, you're going to get refused every time. Truthfully, we've been out here for several hours. We have not caught a lot of fish. Now, we didn't get bit on traditional tactics either, so I think our bite's a little bit off. We've gotten a bite or two here and there. We've had a couple fish come off, which is, in my experience, common with lake trout fishing. Our big lakers didn't want to play out on the lake, and we tried and we tried and we tried, and they didn't want to play. And we always preach, fish for, ooh, what we get there? We got a brown trout.
Nice brown.
Now we always preach on Fishful Thinker to fish for what's biting. The Lakers didn't want to play our swim bait game. They didn't want to play our jigging game. And so we got a beautiful brown. What do you think? I'm kissing him. That's good luck.
Gorgeous fish.
Beautiful fish. And we're going to be quick about getting him back. Nice color. Save the day. Now, if you're going to go fishing, you want to catch your target species. Don't get me wrong, I always want to catch my target species. But if they don't want to play, I'm not going to drive 4 hours back home and not catch fish. That makes no sense. No. So switched it up a little bit. Got a little custom tied feather jig right there. Feather jigs can sometimes be hard to beat in cold water. A good friend of ours, Ronnie Castiglione, tied that. And perfect little jig, and that was literally the first throw on a steep bank right here. So we'll get after it and see if we can get some more, but the bottom line is we're going to salvage the day yet again. If the Lakers don't want to play, so be it. We'll catch trout. You opposed to that?
They're fish to be caught. If it's got fins, we ought to catch them.
Get our string pulled. I like it.
Yep.
So see if we can get some others. All right. One fact that all anglers should keep in mind in their fishing is that big fish eat little fish. It's very common, it almost doesn't matter what the species is. If it's a sport fish, they probably eat other fish as well. One of the hottest trends has been a soft swim bait like this right here. This is a Berkeley hollow belly swim bait. It's got a big thumper tail on it, and this one, ironically, is rainbow trout colored because rainbow trout are stocked all over the western United States. This lure was invented for catching bass, but believe me, it's an excellent choice for catching walleyes and lake trout and large trophy-sized trout and a variety of other species as well. A soft swim bait does a great job of mimicking fish of all kinds, can be retrieved through a variety of depths, and can be rigged on either a jig head or a Texas rig weedless. Soft swim bait, great choice for catching larger than average species of almost any kind of fish you like to catch.
Doing is we're just targeting some of these steeper bluff banks. You noticed this morning that there were small fish sitting on the banks, and the action is definitely picking up.
Yeah, that's one way to put it.
After a good 5 hours fishing lake trout.
You know, and there's a good point that you just made there, Chris, and that's the fact that we gave it a fair effort. We didn't just come in, make 10 casts on a hump and give up. We zigzagged over humps. We tried a variety of baits, from swim baits to...
You were just followed again.
No, I saw that. From swim baits to jigs to very traditional stuff, you name it. We tried it today. And the problem is we were getting a couple of bites here and there, but really not enough to make a very exciting day of fishing. So after literally almost 5 hours of doing that, we decided we'd get a little bit less aggressive about things. Now, the funny thing about it is the very fish that we're trying to catch now are the ones we were trying to mimic on the main lake out there a little bit ago. Fish. Oh. Oh, it come off. Oh.
Nice one.
I had that one. Might not have backed the drag off just a touch. Had a little too much, how'd you put it? Too much come hither on that one. Got him. All right. Now this feels like a decent sized trout. Oh, maybe not. Maybe I foul hooked him. He's not as big as I thought he was when I first set up on him. That's right, we won't net this one. I did foul hook him, that's the problem. I thought he felt big, but they feel big when you hook them in the side. And now folks, that's why I use St. Croix rods. So they're so sensitive, the fish don't actually even have to bite your bait. Oh, that's good fun. Now, I just want to say, because as soon as we decided that the Lakers didn't want to play and decided to go be a little less aggressive with our techniques, our action has picked up. And you may notice that we're laughing a lot more now than we were. And fishing's supposed to be fun. And bottom line is, I like 20-pound lake trout. I've never caught a 20-pound lake trout. He got one, maybe 15, whatever. But the reality of the situation is I like to catch fish. And that's what we're doing now. Now, it seems like in hindsight, if I'm looking back on it, we had a bunch of activity on that hump right at one time. Mm-hmm. We had 3 hookups and we were lake trout fishing in short order, relatively short order in the grand scheme of the time we spent. What do you suppose we did after that? We drifted the same areas, we mixed up baits, we threw the same baits they bit. What do you suppose we should have done different?
Hard to say. I mean, the fish were still following baits, but they definitely didn't want to hit the baits after that.
Boom! That one, on the other hand, did want to hit the bait. What'd you get there? Oh, you got a little baby Laker too. You're the Laker king right there.
Rainbow.
Is it a bow?
Yep.
All right, so we're working the multi-species gigs. This is why we use that. This is lake trout food right here. This is lake trout food. And that's the bait that caught the big lake trout. Is that a big giant shocker? Someone put this guy back now. Now, one thing I do want to point out, we always talk about pattern fishing. So we just skipped 300 yards of bank to come to this steep spot, and then right off the bat get bit again. And that's, we knew to throw right on the bank, we knew the bait they'd eat.
Well, if I can get a brown trout, I will have rounded out my trifecta today.
Fish, good size one too. Oh, I lost my reel handle and he came off. Did you see that? I lost my handle on my reel. It's just totally lost my handle. Oh, that was a rookie move if there ever was one. Oh, that was a big fish too. Chad, you idiot.
And that does show the importance of staying tight on these fish.
Oh, are you kidding me? That was ridiculous. That was a nice one too. That was a lot bigger than any of the others I've hooked over here. Oh, rookie.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, you went back for him. Nicely done. I'm going for the double. You're on your own. Can you handle that?
Yeah, we'll see.
I'm going for the double. You got a big one? Oh, you got one. You can handle him.
It's an MRT.
It's an MRT. That's lingo. Oh, you got him.
Another magnificent rainbow trout.
You got him?
Yep.
I'm gonna work the double action now. See, this is classic pattern fishing. Bring him on up here and see what you got. Nice, beautiful.
It's a beautiful little rainbow.
Beautiful little rainbow. Doctor in the house right there. You need pliers? You got them.
Yep, got him.
Doctor in the house.
A little bigger than my average swim bait, but you know.
But not much bigger.
The fish would still eat this.
Nice catch. I warmed him up in that hole.
Yeah, I learned not to let go of my reel handle.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you learned not to. For all the marbles. Come on, baby. Got him. Yeah, it was for the marbles, and I got the marbles on that one. Now that's textbook right there. Right on the end of the bluff, just like he's supposed to be.
Nice brown.
Yeah, that's a good size one. I threw it right on the bank.
You want the net on this one?
Yeah, we probably ought to net that one. That's a good size one there. That's a nice brown right there. That's a real nice fish. Holy smokes, look at that one. Let me get him unhooked real careful. We always use barbless hooks with trout. Now, if that's what you got to do to salvage your day from the Lakers not playing, I'll happily do that anytime. That's a beautiful specimen, big old teeth on there. Look, he's even got teeth on his tongue. That's how you know you're dealing with a serious predator right there. Gorgeous fish. That's got to be an 18, 19 incher.
You want to put him right
put
on
him on the net here. See how close I am. How close was I? Just short of 18. So nice fish right there. We're going to get him back. And we'll slide him gracefully because he did exactly what he was supposed to do. That's great stuff. Folks, Dr. Myrick first, thank you very much for joining us. Thanks for passing on the big words today and also catching the hog lake trout on the home run technique. That was gorgeous. You know, again, we've done this before on the show. If the species you want don't play, so be it. Just go fishing, have a good time with it, but be a little bit versatile as an angler, develop a pattern, catch some fish. It's a lot of fun. It's really got it clicking now, right? Will you join me in the boat again for another swim bait show, maybe for some bass or walleyes?
Just say when.
Just say when. I like that. All right. Thanks, guys. We appreciate you watching, and hopefully you'll watch Fishful Thinker next week. Meantime, we're going to go catch some more trout. That's a lake trout. It's a big one. No, definitely not a fish. Got him. Oh! See if he'll come back. Hang on. Come on. Got him. Oh, you got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me. Oh, come on.
Yeah, stickfish guy.
Right. We'll take it.
This is one of your rare Colorado stickfish. Notice the gentle curve to the bottom.
Nice gentle curve.
But it did smack the jig, which is what you want.
Well, it goes to show you everyone needs two jigs, right?
Yeah.